Hello all and welcome to episode 27 of the Sky Fantasy Podcast by Fantasy Football Hub. My name is Andrew and I'm joined as usual by two of the most successful Sky managers in the game. Firstly, Paul McAnulty. A decent weekend, Paul, for some shrewd picks.
Yeah, I made a couple of moves yesterday that paid off immediately, and I know a lot of people posted some high scores this weekend, so good game week all round.
Yeah, did you take Antonio out, Paul?
Yeah, I took Antonio out and brought in Ruben Diaz from Man City.
Nice.
So quick 10-point turnaround.
Yeah, I think that's been the move that's been kind of bugging everyone all week, haven't they? Kind of whether to take him out or not, because obviously he's a really good option, but if he misses 3 or 4 games, there's a lot of players you mentioned like Diaz, and I'm sure we'll mention some others now who are going to score a lot of points in that time. So yeah,
I wanted to make a move for someone that was guaranteed some sort of bonus, so that I wouldn't immediately regret it as well.
Exactly. So. Cool. We also have former Sky winner Dan Cox. Dan, you mentioned on Twitter actually that you've had a good Sky weekend so far as well. Is that right?
Yeah, it's been all right, mate. 98 points are showing live.
98.
Still got a game tomorrow, so yeah, it's been a good couple of weeks really. And yeah, I was pleased with yesterday. Today could have been better, but do you know what I mean? It's all right. I'm pretty happy with it.
Let's hope that Kane can score the last 3 or 4 minutes of this game for another live goal and captaincy goal. We will see. Welcome all. As we are live, please feel free to join in the chat at any time. Let us know your thoughts on the topics or the relevant sections. Feel free to ask some questions for us to answer at the end. Good evening. Mark Brown has got 108 points with 2 to go. Even Andrew Patterson, Michael Young, Daniel Ludlam, James Hyde. James says Lamptey off with a possible injury is a concern. Looked like he felt his hamstring. Jim Morris, Owen Jones, Liam Dorrian, Mark Ryan, Todd, Martin Beasley, and Lodders says, who else brought in Ings then? Unsurprisingly, that's probably going to be the hot topic on the podcast as we go through. Welcome all. We hope you've had a good weekend in Sky. So for any new watchers and listeners, if you haven't subscribed to us yet, please press the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Set the alerts so you don't miss our live streams at 9 p.m. every Sunday evening right here on this channel. Also, please press the like button. If everyone could please now press like, that would be great. If you enjoy our content, and don't forget to download our new free app, which includes everything our website offers. Just search for Fantasy Football Hub from wherever you get your apps. So it seems there was some big transfer movement this weekend. I made 3, which is quite uncharacteristic. I wouldn't say it was kind of massively unplanned, but I think when opportunities arrive, you have to be on your toes, I think, don't you? So I made 3, which I think I planned 1, potentially 2 max, but with injuries to Antonio, Rodriguez, Pulisic, and now Ings, with Ings in particular, causing many Sky managers a massive headache for next Friday evening, with only 2 captaincy games to choose from, which we will cover a little later. So tonight, Paul will share some stats with us. Dan will have some ownership stats. He may even have some transfer stats potentially. We'll run through the various options of navigating Friday evening's games, assuming Ings is out. Answer some questions, look ahead to Game Week 9 and share our plans. We'll update our podcast team. Again, not bad. Not great, but not bad. We'll touch on that in a bit. We'll give some mini-league updates and finish off with Andrew's questionable bet result and Dan's rant. So straight into it. And Paul, do you want to share your weekly stats?
Yeah, there's not too much change at the top of the overall bonus stats. Still got Kearney out in front, only playing 5 games with 17 points. And there's been no update, obviously, since last time. Gabriel is on similar, 17. And then Fabinho, my boy Romeo, Alan, Højbjerg, and then just behind them is Rodri, Calvert-Lewin and Darlow. I think for Calvert-Lewin to be up there is pretty impressive. You don't often see strikers at the top of the bonus charts. Only 3 points off the top. He's picked up shooting bonus in 6 of his 7 games. And that was without the creative influence of Richarlison, Rodriguez and Digne today, picking up the shots tier again. Some nice fixtures coming up. I think Man United, is it Burnley, Fulham and Burnley, I think is the next 3. So might be a possible move off for Ings if people have got the Friday night captain covered. Passes, Michael Keane's on top of passes, Højbjerg's second and Gabriel's third. Shots, Calvert-Lewin and Salah's 14 shots on target each are out the top, just behind Kane, and obviously I've not included today's game as well, so he'll catch up with them there. Tackles, Allen's out in front, just behind Romeo, Andros Townsend, Mitchell, Dallas, and then the 2 kind of big jumpers in there now are Edna Stevens, who done really well last year for Sheffield United, but he's just too expensive now for a Sheffield United defender. I think he was just short of 8 million. And Matty Cash, who I think 6.5, so he could be an option. Villa's still got a nice run of fixtures. And what I thought I'd have a look at on a weekly basis now is, now there's not going to be much change at the top of the overall charts, just having a look at Gameweek 7 specifically, so that just the games have come so far, and anyone that's picked up double bonus. So the 2 players to have done that thus far is Cancelo from Man City, who's been putting in some really good performances recently. So he got 5 bonus points this weekend. And Mason Mount, who Lampard seems to love, he got 5 bonus points as well. And then the last thing I was going to highlight was, if at any point that you need a West Brom player for captaincy or a restructure of the team, Conor Gallagher, who was on loan at Charlton and Swansea last season. So he got 6 goals in 26 appearances for Charlton. He's only 6 million in the game. He's on loan from Chelsea to West Brom now, and he's picked up 8 tackles in his last 2 games. And you'd expect to start adding perhaps some shooting towards that as well. So anyone that's looking for a restructure, he's a 6 million midfielder and seems to have cemented a place in midfield.
Very, very nice. Thank you very much, Paul. Dan, have you got an update on some ownership stats for us?
Yep. So I'll go with the top 5s ins and out first. So De Bruyne was top, brought into 20,000 teams, helped he was starting on Saturday, and we could see the team sheet. So he was brought into a lot. That's almost 5% of all teams. Zaha was brought into 17,000 teams. Friday night captaincy might have been an option, or people might have gone early to get rid of Rodriguez or Antonio. Chilwell, he was third, brought into 10,000 teams. Son was brought into 10,000 teams, and Kane was brought into 9. This is all since last Sunday, midday last Sunday, so it was that week. Top 5 out. Rodriguez out of 31,000 teams. Castanao, the Leicester guy, Timmy, he took out of 26,000 teams. Digney, Everton, he was taken out of 18,000 teams. Antonio out of 17,000 teams. Van Dijk's still slowly going out of people's teams, out of 7,000 this week. People are a bit slow on the reacting to that. And the next one was Aubameyang taking out 6,000 teams. So that was obvious he was going to score today, wasn't it? So that was your top 5 ins out. The most owned hasn't really changed too much. Bruno, top, 41%. Grealish, second with 38%. So if you had him and he scored today and you're thinking he had a result, he's the second most high, well, it's the second highest owned player in the game. So, it's not that,
I think it's important there, though, that if you haven't got him, you can probably expect a drop in rank, I would guess. Unless you captained, high scoring player.
Salah, third most owned, 37%. Kane, 34%. De Bruyne, 33%. You can see that he was at 50 odd when he and then dropped, and he's working his way back up there. Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's in 29% still. Oh yeah, surprised at that really. Calvert-Lewin in 26%. I think that's going to rise now potentially with people going off Ings or, and he scored again, didn't he? Aubameyang's 23%, still quite highly owned. Zaha in 23, and then Son in 21. That's your top 10 most owned players.
Thank you very much, Dan. Jay Ladbrook says, evening lads, auto reclose. Would you move Ings to Bamford tomorrow if you have cover for next Friday? So that's just a question we've had in on the chat, Jen. So if you have cover next Friday, would you move Ings to Bamford? I suppose my first instinct would be, if you haven't got a captain, then, potentially. But if you have, it's a bit of a luxury transfer. Any seconds on there, lads?
Yeah, I like him. He's 8.2 million in, I think, Bamford, so he's a nice price. why not get it? I've already got Dallas for tomorrow night, so do you know what I mean? To then have a striker as a captain, which I'd always prefer, that would appeal. And like Paul was saying about restructuring your team, if you can get him in, you can then spend some money elsewhere. So I wouldn't be opposed to that at all.
Okay, Todd says 6 minutes added on the Spurs game, but Alter were close. Game over 2-1. So Højbjerg, according to Joe Williams, only got 3 tackles and 50 passes. That was a few minutes ago. Hopefully he got an extra tackle. I don't know if he did or not.
Ben White got 6 tackles in the end.
Ben White got 6 tackles. Really good for White owners, including yourself, Paul. I think that's tier 2. Very nice for you. Sam Cole says Gabriel looks very, very good. He does. I'm sure we'll touch on him in a bit. Even though I do think he was slightly fortunate. I felt fortunate that he stayed on the pitch, because I did think that tackle he did on Rashford at the end was a dodgy one. I think if he hadn't had the yellow already, I think he would have been off personally. But there we go. James Street says I'll be on Ings to Vardy, even though he has 2 Leeds defenders. It's up to you, James, if you want to make that move. Though Leicester have got a really nice run, haven't they? From I think it's Sky Game Week 11. I want to say they've got a few. I think they're home to Fulham or West Brom. They've got a really nice captaincy day coming up in Game Week 11. And Todd says really think Ziyech will be worth. I think now he's fit, worth waiting a few weeks, but I think he will get more points than Pulisic did last year. And Lodders 88 still got Antonio on my team, thinking of bringing Gabriel in. I think that was a move which a couple of us did this weekend, Todd. Absolutely. Dan, do you have any transfer stats? I know you posted them on your article on Friday. Have you got them to hand?
Yeah, I have. So just unbelievable, aren't they?
Yeah.
The top 10 average remaining transfers is 13, and you think this was Wednesday. So do you know what I mean? That's then thinking Antonio. Who else got injured? Rodriguez, Castagne. Do you know what I mean? There's Pulisic. Do you know Ings? Do you know what I mean? So they're going to be on. Well, take away 5 from that. The interesting thing is that total's gone. The week before that was 19, so that's gone down 6. Do you know what I mean? So you think, well, how have they all gone down 6? Do you know what I mean? So someone's moved into. I don't know what's happened, but someone's moved into that top 10 who had even less transfers than all of them had before. So 13 transfers left to last the next 33 rounds of games. Like good luck. The top 100 is 18.6. That's gone down 6 as well since last week. That was 24 last week. Top 1,000 is 26 left, and the top 5,000 is 29.3 left. So mad, isn't it? When we've used 3, 4, and 5 and stuff, and then you see people that have got like 13 left. Is I don't mean to laugh or anything, but it's just shocking, isn't it? It's just I just can never get my head around it.
There's one of our listeners, I'm sure, that's in 700th overall and it's only used 5 transfers. Apologies, I can't remember the name, but I was having a clear out of some of the people that I follow on Twitter earlier on, and I didn't get rid of this.
And you cleared him out.
It was just some people. I was just going through, and then I checked. I was just checking some of the bios, and I think someone had said they were 700th overall. So well done to whoever that is. Apologies, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Very, very nice. Sun Dream Team Flower Pot Man 4. The wife is asking why I'm watching Little Britain in bed. I'm not sure which characters she thinks we are. Could we have some in the chat on which characters you think we are from Little Britain? I've got some ideas, but we need to be careful. Mario Tanita, Hadworth, proud for the overhaul. Yeah, he looked a really good option, didn't he, at the start of the season? Didn't really perform in the first few games, but if Ings is out for a while now, he's going to be on pens as well, so potentially he could be an option moving forward. Evening, Christy, Rawnsley. Can you check the players transfer left? No, you can't. Sorry, Christy, and good evening, FPL Badger. Okay, so our main topic this evening, we had some questions from FPL Heavyweight and Sky FF. Thoughts on what to do with the Ings injury for those who brought him in. So we had Friday night cover. You are not the only one. Don't worry about that. And Reece Sky FF, after bringing Ings in and he now looks injured, are we giving the game a skip or using another transfer? And Tom Hartnell, what to do with Ings? Get Wilson or another Saints player in, or just forget Friday captain now? So, Dan, can I come to you first? Obviously, this is aimed mainly at Ings owners, but there's obviously some every game we watch with every team, some different options kind of spring out, don't they? So what kind of options do you think are now available, especially for Ings owners, obviously on Friday night?
Well, yeah, if you've got no one else for that night, you'd be looking obviously at who you can get in. Like, I've just jotted some names down. So Romeo, who Paul loves, he should get your tackle bonus or something like that. It's solid, some points in. Plus he's and not just for that night, because he is so cheap. Like Paul said, you can restructure your team so you can get him in from Ings, and then you can put some more money into whatever you want to do. If you want to get rid of Trent or Robertson, someone like that who's expensive, you can have a bit of I'm not even opposed, I said in my article, like to doing, when I got rid of Antonio, I was saying if you get rid of Antonio and Jimenez, you then got 18 million to get 2 other players, and it doesn't have to be positions, you can get different positions. So it really depends on your team and what you want to do. Like if you're desperate to cover Friday, then yeah, Romeo, Che Adams, people have said, Ward-Prowse, Callum Wilson even, although I think they've got Chelsea the next game. I even said to you beforehand, like, I wouldn't even mind going to Bamford tomorrow night because again, he's cheap. That could give you more money to upgrade elsewhere. Or even if you sort of Vardy, he's one of them annoying players, and Vardy, so you could bring him in. But there's so many options, and it depends. Like you might even just want to skip Friday night and do something else. You know what I mean? Like go with what you were planning to do. So there's just so many options, and we have. If you haven't got a rack by Monday, do you know what I mean? You can wait all week if you want to hear about Ings. Might turn out to be nothing. Might turn out he's out for a month or two. You just, if you want a bit more information, but there's so many options. So just have a real proper think about it.
I think as well, it could be a bit of a stressful week because obviously there's Ings, and a lot of players had in their place Lamptey, for example, but Lamptey has just gone off potentially with some kind of hamstring injury. Well, that may be the cover there gone. But also Mopai, who's in our podcast 11, who would have been our captain on Friday, wasn't in the team at all today, wasn't on the bench. So you could only assume that he's injured as well. So it could be quite...
Said it was I thought he came out and said it was a tactical decision.
Really? What, not even on the bench?
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen the quote somewhere that him and Connolly were left out for... And not Ryan. Ryan was rested, but the others were rested out for tactical reasons or something like that. Well, can't remember the exact wording.
Okay, if that's the case, then good news potentially for Mopai owners and White owners as well, Paul. Paul, what are your thoughts for captaincies on Friday now then?
Yeah, I wouldn't be making a move to someone. I personally wouldn't make a move to someone like Wilson unless that was a move that you're happy with long term. The Romeo one as well, if you're wanting a restructure, then I would do it. If not, what I've started doing maybe for the last season or so is every week I spend a lot of time commuting. Not currently because in lockdown, but on my commute I always pick like what my wildcard team would be each week and think how many moves is my current team away from that, and is there any good moves that I can make to get to that position. So if you've got an ideal team that you want to get to and you can make the Ings move to one of those players, even if it means skipping the Friday night, I would always think about that. So I'm sure we'll talk about it a bit later, but we've seen an emergence of some like real standout defensive options. Is that somewhere where you would want to go, or have you got De Bruyne in yet or Bruno in yet, knowing that that's your long-term plans? I would have that in the back of my mind when I was making any of these choices. I wouldn't make a rash one-to-one move for Wilson unless you're going to hold him long-term. I like the Bamford move as well. Again, if you're happy having Bamford as your third striker in a sort of long-term in the way that you want to structure your team.
Sure. So I'm stuck in the fact that I would have only had Ings for Friday, so I bought Ings in this morning. So I'm the exact example of here. I don't have anyone else from Brighton, Burnley, Southampton, or Newcastle. And while it's still a bit early for me to make a decision, I have had a little bit of a think, and I think moving forward, I'm probably not that keen on having anyone from those 4 players in my team. I don't think, even though Southampton's defence and potentially Romeo, I would say, are potential long-term decent options. But I have got my plan in place, and my plan was to move Ings on after Friday. And if we got the fixtures for after the international break before Friday, I would then see if Ings would have played before or after De Bruyne before making that move. Now, obviously, we don't know what is going to happen with Ings, but my move was to get onto De Bruyne. If I want to get onto a captain on Friday, it would just be using one transfer for one captaincy on Friday, which to me, there's probably no real standout option now. If there was, a really highly owned player, say someone like a Grealish, for example, or maybe, Kane or Salah or someone like that, I probably think it is worth a transfer. However, for me, I think if I haven't got one, I will likely leave it, because I think that there will be other transfers further down the line where I'm going to probably need it more. Probably the fact that, I've made 3 today as well. I need to calm down, but I think at the moment that's going to be my plan. But also, what I know about myself, one of my fantasy traits is when I see a lineup, like yesterday, for example, I saw the Man City lineups, and I saw Diaz and Laporte at the back playing against Sheffield United. And I knew that was likely, but when you see it in front of you, I was like, I have to have Diaz. I simply have to have him. So I brought him in, and obviously, thankfully, it paid off, which was good. But I think I'll be nervous on Friday, I know we only see the Brighton and Burnley lineups, don't we? But Burnley haven't been, obviously, good. They obviously lost yesterday to a very good Chelsea team, but I'm hoping no one really kind of stands out there. So that's my current plan, is just to move on to De Bruyne, potentially for their game against Liverpool next weekend, and just kind of play that out. Hopefully Ings is okay, and it's all good, but we will see. So if anyone else has got any other ideas there, Phil Speck says spot on, I reckon, Fergie. Well, I'm not sure if he's on about Little Britain or my strategy there, but we'll see which he goes. Dan Perry says Trossard captain for me on Friday. Hopefully plays up front. Yeah, I think that's a really nice option there. David Roy, I think injuries are what we have transfers for, but I'm definitely waiting until Friday. James Street is also on Trossard, so there are some Trossard ones. Ian Parron agrees with Paul. Always look to the medium long term when planning a move. And Tom Hartnell, I'm going to leave Friday and make a move for Diaz. Yeah, Tom, I think long term, I think we've mentioned Diaz a couple of times, and just looking at the way he plays, looking at the fixtures from Sky Game Week 11 onwards as well, he's going to score some serious points in that run. So if anyone hasn't got Diaz, maybe looking at opportunity to get them in. Maybe not before Liverpool, but we'll move on. I would just also mention that Southampton's fixtures, so obviously they've got Newcastle on Friday, who have been playing okay and scoring a couple of goals. Wilson's on form. After that, they do have Wolves and Man United as well, so people would argue potentially whether Man United is an easy game or not at the moment. But, it only takes a flick of a switch for United that we know, they can be awful or they can score 4. So that's something to think about. If they had a couple of easier fixtures, if they had like Fulham and Burnley or West Brom and someone else after, maybe worth kind of hanging on. But, I'm not so sure there. And the only options I can really see from Newcastle, potentially Wilson. He's obviously really, really good. Not sure their fixtures straight after. You haven't got any real captaincy needs there. And Darlow is the only other one in terms of, obviously we're not sure when the Vrabka is back. And we mentioned this last week, didn't we, Paul? You kind of mentioned that, but he does make a lot of saves. Okay, so on to our questions, of which we've had a lot. Thank you so much, as usual, everyone who sent in questions. It is much, much appreciated. Craig Nice says, does anyone else own KDB and is worried about his output so far? So I think, Paul, you've got De Bruyne, is that right? Are you worried, or are you just happy to have him now for the season?
Nah, I just have him for the season. Not bothered, not worry about it. You'll have some quiet weeks and then you'll have some monster hauls. I'll just take them as they come.
Completely agree. And
they play on they play in the same Champions League night as Liverpool, so I'll always have the alternative to Captain Salah if I feel that his ceiling's going to be higher for a specific game or not.
Very cool. Dan, question for you from Adrian Tor. Should we keep Pulisic or sell him after picking up another injury? It's a tough question. What do you think?
Wait for some more news on it, but I don't know. He is annoying, isn't it? When I see that Chelsea lineup and all that, and because Werner wasn't even starting, was he?
No.
It's like, what? Like, couldn't believe that. Lampard's turned into Pep. And then, I don't know. I haven't really thought about Pulisic, to be honest. I'll probably leave him in. I definitely wouldn't do anything yet. I'd wait to see the news because he is a good price, 9.1. And it weren't. I think he just felt something, didn't he? So they just precautionarily didn't put him in. But I don't. I think he's going to be all right. But we'll get some more news this week. So I'd hold him for now.
I almost poked the bear yesterday. I was going to applaud Sky Sports Fantasy for getting the pricing right, because they brought down his price. It was 9.4 last year and brought it down to 9.1. Yeah. I was going to make a comment about taking into consideration his injury proneness, but I maybe felt that was a kick in the teeth too far for owners. So
yeah, I do think the Pulisic's owners have been really, really unlucky. I personally would probably, if you haven't got Diaz, I would be tempted to move on to Diaz, because even if Pulisic is back, he could be good for 1 or 2 games, and he could get injured again. I'm just a bit nervous with Pulisic. And there's a couple of shouts on the chat. I agree. For Ziyech, just a swap with Ziyech looked very, very good yesterday. He looks to be that kind of player who could mop up man of the match, I think, as well. He looks a really nice player, Ziyech. But at the moment, there's no massive need for Chelsea for captaincy, is there? So, I do feel sorry for Chelsea owners, sorry for Pulisic owners, and they've got a nice fixture next week as well. They're home to Sheffield United before the international break, and I think he could potentially even be a captaincy option on Saturday, which we will touch on now. I don't think. Sorry, I'm doing all this from memory. I don't think it's the first game, so I don't think you get to see the lineups.
Man U Everton.
Yeah, so we will have to wait and see there. I'm sure we'll touch on captains after. Ian Parrin just said potentially 27th of November could be Crystal Palace versus Newcastle, and West Brom versus Sheffield United. That would be a very nice one to navigate there. Even though Zaha, I think, has got a decentish run of games, and now that Milivojevic will be banned for 3 games, you would guess he may be on penalties. Even though Van Aanholt was on penalties before Zaha last season, so that is just worth noting as well. Those who think that Zaha is now nailed on penalties, if Van Aanholt is back, he was taking them before Zaha last season, worth probably mentioning that. Question from Carl Green. Goalkeepers, best strategy for the season as it's raining goals. Unlikely to make or break your season, but valuable points to be gained. You gamble on potential clean sheets behind a good defence, or go for a regular bonus points keeper. What's the view? Paul, can I come to you on keepers at the moment?
Until there's a standout option for me, I would, whoever you're on, I would stick with, because it feels anyway that all goalkeepers are as bad as each other in terms of point scoring this season. I'm on Martinez, who Villa haven't looked great defensively recently, but I've got no desire to move on. And like I'd mentioned, that wild card type scenario, if I was picking now, I would pick Mesley only because he's the cheapest and not because he's going to score the most points, I think
I'd probably give a shout at the moment for Mendy of Chelsea. So he's come in at 7 million, which I think is quite cheap. I'm sure he's kept, is it 5 clean sheets on the bounce now in all competitions for Chelsea, including Champions League? It's either 4 or 5. And he's also a good shot stopper. So against Burnley, he had a couple of saves as well. So I would say, if you are, I think my first advice would be, you've picked your keeper, stick with it. But I do think if you are looking to change, I don't think you go far wrong with Mendy personally. But that's it. Dan, any more?
He's
words?
A good price.
He is a good price.
Like what you say, I did look at Mendy at the overhaul, but I think because he then took a knock, didn't he, or something like that?
He missed the first game back, didn't he?
That was putting me off. But I did, because he's 7 million. He's only, what's Martinez, 6.3, so it's only 0.7 more. Villa, so annoyed with Villa, they conned everyone, aren't they? Like starting off like world beaters and stuff, and then just they've annoyed me, mate. Really have. So I've got Martinez. He didn't make a save today, I don't think. Let him forward, but you couldn't even save a shot.
I don't think there was much he could do for any of the goals, in all fairness. But
yeah. If I went Mendy and he's 7 million, and say he didn't keep 2 clean sheets in a row, he didn't keep a clean sheet for 2 games, I know that I would be tempted to take him out.
Yeah, definitely. That's it.
But when everyone, Patricio owners, they were gutted, weren't they, last couple of weeks? He's let a goal in the last minute and guy sort of thing. And then if you'd had Patricio captain Friday, you were laughing, weren't you? 18-pointer.
Yeah, Crystal Palace's run's really nice for those that have got Guaita as well.
Yeah.
And he could cover that captaincy that Ian Parham has mentioned.
Yeah.
If you have him, this is not a recommendation to bring him in.
Also, another shout could be Pulisic to Chilwell or Zuma. So Chilwell, how he didn't get attack in return yesterday. He was really unlucky. He was probably fouled for a penalty. I reckon he had the nudge in the back, and he also obviously had the assist for Giroud's goal, which was offside. Kept a clean sheet. Decent for passing as well. Of course. Yeah, exactly. So I think Chilwell, you can probably maybe put him in that same bracket. We've been talking about, Diaz and Gabriel and Dallas and wherever else. I think he looks a really good option, and he hasn't. I don't think he's returned much, if any, attacking returns yet. So he's got that to actually come as well. Even though I did see he shared set pieces yesterday, didn't he, with Mount and Ziyech as well. So, Talon Nadeem said Burnley didn't have any shots on target yesterday. I'm sure I saw him make some saves, unless no,
0.
It might have been last week. Who did they play last week?
Man United. He made the couple of decent saves from Rashford.
He did. I think it was that I was thinking about. In terms of Zuma or Chilwell, so I'm always nervous with Zuma. I mean, he looks a fabulous option, right? But I'm always nervous about you got Rudiger. I'm not sure if Christensen is still there. He might have gone, but
I think he's still there.
I'm always nervous with Zuma that he may just suddenly lose his place. I
think he was all right until they then said Rudiger's had talks with Lampard and he's going to bring him back into the fold, and it's like, oh no, that's Zuma. Don't be surprised on a Saturday or something when it's like Rudiger is in with Silva and Zuma's on the bench or whatever. So that's going to happen, isn't it?
And Zuma, his points are inflated at the moment, right? So he scored 3 goals in 6 games. That's obviously, I would guess that's unsustainable, because it means he would score 19 goals over the season. So his points are probably a bit inflated, but he's a great option. Really good price at 7.8. I think he is as well, isn't he? So, but I would say Chilwell for me is more nailed. He looks like he's going to score every match as well. So I think he's a better option personally. Josh Campion, lads, I have 6 subs left for the full season. Nice to have you on, Josh. I'm sure you won't be joining us in a month or two, but thanks for joining us on this stream. Next question again from Craig Nice. He snuck a couple of questions in. Is it safe to assume Kilman is guaranteed to play every week now? So this is a question we were all chatting about in our group chat. Dan, what do you think about Kilman?
This is just me, what I think, right? So I think Semedo, he'll play when Bowley, Cody, lovely. I think then you got Marcel, Kilman, Sass, and Al Nouri. I think they're going to rotate a bit. I might be wrong, but I debated Kilman on Friday, bringing him in for a bit of a restructure, but I'm just so unsure on it. Do you know what I mean? He's a great price, clean sheet Friday, there, lovely, but I just want someone who's going to play. So I don't know. It's still a bit of a wait and see for me. If he obviously starts the next 3 or 4, then you can assume that. But I think they'll rotate a bit. So they've got no Europe, have they? So they're all going to want game time. Yeah, so I just don't know. I'm really not sure. But yeah, he looks great.
I think the thing for me is if he does lose his place, which youngsters tend to, kind of do, and Sice.
He's 23.
Yeah. Well, he's still fairly young. I think. I'll say Sice, and Sice will be like 21. But obviously, Sice is more senior. He's proven. He hasn't really done a lot wrong. Sice. I know he's not kind of ideal at left wing back, but he's a good defender.
Do you know? I seen it was on Twitter on Friday. Someone was predicting that Sice would be dropped because he played every game for 22 games in a row, or something like that, and got dropped against Crystal Palace last year because he had been sent off playing against Zaha in the reverse fixture, and predicted that would happen again. And that's the thoughts of why he wasn't playing on Friday night.
I think this is why, and that youngster. Obviously, he played really, really well, looked really attacking. Obviously, got the goal. They've got Marçal to play in there as well. So I think Saiss and Kilman are probably direct competition. I just can't see Saiss being on the bench all season. But if he plays for his price, if he plays nearly every game, Kilman, exceptional value. So I think it's up to...
I think Wolves, sorry mate, Wolves have got some terrible games coming up as well. I think I'm looking at the Fantasy Football Hub app fixtures. Like, that's not great. Leicester, Southampton, Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa, Chelsea, Burnley, Tottenham, Man U. Like, it's not...
Wow, that's not...
When I looked at those fixtures, they're down the bottom on the hub sort of, defence thing. So that's a bit of concern as well.
Yeah, I'd be a bit nervous about it. Obviously he's a massive temptation. If he keeps his place for the next 2, 3, 4 games, but I think if you bring him in now, I think he'd be hard to get rid of. You'd probably have to make 2 transfers to get him out, I would guess. So
there's a lot of nice budget players about just now. West Ham's about to go on a brilliant run. Kufal, yeah. I know he's more expensive, but he's 6.1. We've talked about like Zuma and Gabriel. Yeah. They're around the 8 million mark. Romeo's under 7 million. So there's nice enablers if you're picking up 2 or 3 of these players that instead of having the one standout really cheap player.
I agree with that, mate. And final couple of questions from Ron. Diaz looking like that classic VVD type mould of a steady stream of points. KDB, of course, fantastic pick, but does Diaz now make KDB less essential than previously thought? What do you think of that, Dan? I suppose it's looking at maybe, we had Otamendi, didn't we, and a few seasons ago, Laporte last season, the season before, and now we've got Diaz. I'm potentially Laporte again, but does he make KDB less of an option, Dan?
We sort of spoke about this before, haven't we, about captaining defenders over strikers and stuff like that. Yeah, if you'd have captained him Saturday, then lovely in a tier 2 pass and bonus, clean sheet. But like De Bruyne on that, I forget they played that Monday when he got the full house of bonus and the goal and assist, and he then whacks in like near enough 40 points or something. So
I think he got 44 point haul for captain.
Yeah, I think that's right.
It's Wolves, yeah.
But yeah, DS is great price, great pick. Like, I just have them both. I think like I haven't got De Bruyne, and I was worried Saturday in that game. It was like, oh my god, like just please don't do anything. I was watching his passes count, and I know he got the assist, but I was like, that was all right. I was just thinking, please, because he could just do everything. Like man of the match, assist, a goal, pass and bonus, shot, everything. So no, I still love De Bruyne.
Agreed. Todd says KDB is always essential. Assist and almost scored yesterday. And auto reclose. Just remember the KDB full house. That is all. I think with his ownership, as well, he's a great option. I think the only thing I would say, kind of supporting Ron's argument, and I always remember odd stats. I never got them in front of me, so I'm not sure whether it's right. But I think it's the first time in a few years that Man City have failed to score more than 1 goal in their last 3 or 4 league games on the trot or something along those lines. So they're not really scoring a lot of goals at the moment. So I think that is a concern. Obviously, they're playing a very, very depleted Liverpool team next week defensively. So that could all change. But again, they run from game week. I think it's Sky game week 11. They've got 3 home games in 4 against Burnley, Fulham, and West Brom. They're absolutely mint. You probably don't want to be going into those games. And you could at that time with Aguero due back in the next week or 2 as well. You could even be doubling up with Aguero there. So I'd just be a little bit careful of not having De Bruyne. Basically, if De Bruyne is the massive captain option, he's so highly owned. If he bangs in a 40-point captaincy, and you're on someone who doesn't bang, you will have a lot of top players moving above you. I personally don't think it's the risk. It's a risk. Up to you. A question off Ian Parring. Can we ask Paul what his current commute wildcard team is? I'm not sure what he's on about there. Is that FPL?
No. It's so. If I was to pick an 11 for Sky Fantasy Football, that I would, if I was on overhaul at this second of time.
Let's hear it.
How would I pick my team? So I've got another laptop. Okay, you can tell me if this doesn't price up right, but I think this will be correct.
Maybe there or thereabouts.
So So Meslier in goals, only because he's the cheapest and there's no standout goalkeeping option.
Yeah.
I like the Mendy shout. I think he could do well. So Meslier, Gabriel, Diaz. I think if I went Zuma this way, I'd be over budget. So I'll go Dallas and come back to me on the fourth defender. In midfield, Grealish, De Bruyne, Bruno. Up front, Kane, Salah, Calvert-Lewin. And I think that might give me enough money for either Højbjerg in midfield or I think Zuma in defence is too expensive. It might be another player that's maybe an enabler, someone like Kufal, if I couldn't afford Højbjerg. So that would be an 11, I think.
I think you've just named 10 out of my 11, nearly. Very, 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 very close anyway. So obviously that's, apart from Martinez in goal, obviously, and I think there was another one as well, but...
I had used 3 transfers this week, similar to you, with the Ings move as well.
Yeah.
And I was moving towards that team, so I'm not too far away from it myself.
Yeah, I'm an Ings to De Bruyne away, and I think I've got Ayling at the moment instead of Calvert-Lewin, or something along those lines. Yeah. But no, really, really nice team there, Paul. And and talking of that, so a question from Mark Wright: who is the best of the budget defenders to own? Kilman, Mitchell, Lamptey, Vestergaard, Cash, Kufal, White, or someone else? Who would your one pick be, Dan, of a budget defender if you had to pick one?
Paul's got him, probably Ben White, because he gets his tackles. Mitchell didn't play at the weekend, did he? He didn't play Friday, did he? Has he lost his spot now?
It's injured, I think.
Injured. Yeah. So, and we talked about Kilman, didn't we? Yeah, I think Ben White's the most nailed and should be getting some sort of bonus, so he'd be my shout.
Paul, you're already on White. Is he your pick in that bracket, or would you pick someone else?
If I was on a wild card just now, I'd probably go Kufal, but only he's cheap. He's 0.2 cheaper and picks up tackles as well. I don't mind being on White though, and he's like, I've got that Friday night captaincy as well. So I'd probably pick Kufal if I was picking one now.
I would probably say maybe Vestergaard. He's looked really, really good. If Southampton can keep playing the way they have, potentially without Ings for a while now, obviously, I think he looks really good value. But also very close. That Liverpool game is one where KDB could shine. I do agree there. Even though their youngster obviously had a really good game at centre half, that's the kind of game where KDB could do it, and and not to forget, with Aguero not back yet, he is on penalties as well. So any of those dodgy ones, which kind of happen, he is there as well. Thank you very much to everyone who sent in all their questions. Oops, I've clicked on the wrong slide. Apologies. Okay, so looking ahead then to Sky Game Week 9, there are only 3 game days next week as we head into the international break. On Friday, when we've been talking about, you got Brighton and Burnley at 5:30. Important to note that we won't see the Southampton Newcastle team news for that game, so we won't know if Ings is playing. If he's 50-50, we won't know if he's playing for the 8 o'clock game. So it's worth bearing that in mind. On Saturday, the early game is Everton v Man United, which we will see the lineups for. We've then got Palace against Leeds, Chelsea against Sheffield United, and West Ham versus Fulham. So that is the Saturday. On the Sunday, we'll see the lineups for West Brom against Spurs. Then it's Leicester against Wolves, Man City, Liverpool, and we'll finish off with Arsenal against Villa. So, Paul, can I come to you first this week? What are your captaincy plans? Who do you think are the best options for the captaincies, or any transfer opportunities this coming weekend?
I'm going to be on Dallas tomorrow. I think the best captaincy shout is Bamford or Vardy, I think. On Friday, I'll be on Ben White. Well, provided I've got Ings, so provided Ings isn't playing, I'll be on Ben White. If I wasn't, I genuinely don't know. I don't fancy Shea Adams. Wilson, maybe. Southampton seem to don't do particularly well at home. I know they just beat Everton at home, but maybe Wilson. But I would happily take a stream like Romeo for his 4 or 5 points or whatever he pick up.
I think with Adams as well. I think we're yet to see how he'll play without Ings. Obviously, they got a really nice partnership, but I would probably not expect the same outcome potentially with Shane Long. Maybe the one comes in alongside him. It could be a very different dynamic and attacking threat we see from them on Friday. Maybe
Saturday I'll be on Bruno. Calvert-Lewin could be a good shout. Genuinely, I'm jealous Dan's got Zuma. If I had Zuma, I think I'd be captain him on Saturday. And then on Sunday, look, I'll be on Kane. I didn't see the Spurs fixture there. I'll be on Kane. I was looking at the Man City Liverpool. I was like, oh, De Bruyne or Salah, but no, I'll be on Kane for that. And I think he's probably the best option, or maybe Aubameyang if you're Arsenal, Gabriel maybe. But I'll be on Kane for that.
Anything different there, Dan?
So I had penciled in Dallas tomorrow, Ings Friday. Saturday, I don't think Saturday's very good really. Like United are in Bruno, just so annoying idiot. I have got Bruno penciled in, and then Kane Sunday. What I was then thinking now is literally just seen it. So Leeds play. You're thinking about doing your Ings to De Bruyne, aren't you?
Yeah.
But Leeds play twice now before Man City play. So if you fancied a little somewhere like jumping onto Bamford for a couple of games, I could captain Bamford tomorrow, have him against Palace. I wouldn't captain him and then move him on to De Bruyne. But yeah, Leeds play twice now before Man City and Liverpool. And if you fancy a little something like that, you could even captain Bamford away to Palace. But do you know what I mean? Now when Paul said it, Chelsea at home to Sheffield United, Zuma should get passing. Hopefully get a clean sheet. That's probably going to be better than me captaining Bruno, because whenever I have Bruno, he's useless. So that's probably a better shout.
And Sunday, Kane?
Kane, yeah.
Kane? Okay. I think my thoughts on Friday, I'm currently on Ings. I'm tempted to skip, though obviously I'm one of those players who tends to react to lineup, so I just don't know. I don't know kind of what I'll do there. And and obviously there's 5 days in between, those as well. So if someone else gets injured in Europe, for example, or something like that, if one of my players, if Gabriel plays in the whatever cup and takes a knock, or God forbid Zuma plays in Champions League in the week, Dan, and takes a knock, then obviously things will change there. On the Saturday, so I'll probably go Bruno, only because I think apart from Leeds, he's the only player I've got playing. Everton are not that good at the back, and even though United have been awful, they're better away than they are at home. They still won't have Richarlison, so I do think that Everton's attacking threat will be a bit stunted. And you've got to think that Ole Gunnar is, he's fighting for his job now, and you've got to think that they have to put in some kind of forward. So I actually think that Bruno probably isn't a bad option against Everton. And he always carries that threat with penalties as well. I think if I owned a Chelsea player, or I was looking to move on to a Chelsea player, we mentioned earlier players like Zuma, Chilwell. We haven't really mentioned Werner. He could be an option, even though we won't see the lineups. Then Chelsea to Sheffield United is a really good option there. West Ham and Fulham is the one I'm most gutted about, because I was eyeing up Antonio for this one, because I think that is absolutely mint. I do one. So those who've held on to Antonio, if he is confirmed fit this week, I'm very, very jealous, because remember what he did to Norwich, at the end of last season, Norwich at home, when he scored the 4 goal. But Norwich's defence are the same as Fulham's are now, right? They're both woeful. So he if you do hold on to him and he's confirmed fit, that would be a nice one there. I will probably go Bruno, and then on the Sunday I have got Kane away to West Brom. It's obviously the standout fixture there. If I do Ings to De Bruyne for that game, I think I do think that's a good game for them home against Liverpool. Still obviously likely captain Kane, because they have got West Brom, but obviously that is an option there for that Man City one. I think it's always good to have. I think you mentioned this, Dan. I think it's really, really important for everyone to have a backup in your mind of what you're going to do if your captain, for whatever reason, doesn't play or is dropped. There's nothing worse than only having an hour to panic for what you're going to do to your team and not having a backup plan. I think an hour seems a long time, but when you've got no idea and you've got that kind of white in front of you, it's awful. So
the clock's ticking down, and people panic on that.
They do. if Bruno doesn't start on Saturday, what Bielsa tends to do when he's playing against teams that play 4-4-2 or play with two strikers is play Dallas in midfield.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
So I definitely wouldn't be worried about captain in Dallas. If Bruno didn't start, I know he's not been playing particularly well recently.
Yeah, good shout. Liam obviously won Sky last year, says his 4 goals versus Norwich had me nervously looking over my shoulder. I bet they did, Liam. And I think actually on this stream on it, we were all saying for that Friday night, if we had the transfers left, we would have gone Antonio, and that would have been nearly between a 50 and 60 point sort of
56
captain.
points. I think I
56 points
at the time. 56 pointer.
Yeah.
Liam will have it screenshotted somewhere.
I'm sure he will. Martin says, I can't see Antonio being back this week. I can't either, but if he did, you're probably not going to get a better fixture this season than a home to Fulham. So that's our plans for game week 9. So we're just going to switch quickly now to the podcast 11 team. So for those who can see it now, it's on screen. We scored 72 points this week. It's all right. So we captained Patricio on Friday night, which is okay. Obviously, returned the clean sheet. So we got his 18 points. We got 4 off Robertson. We've got Ayling and Dallas tomorrow. Dallas is going to be our captain tomorrow night. We've kept Antonio. So I did put a load of polls out on Twitter, and the overwhelming response was to keep Antonio. So we have kept him. So if he does, if he is fit for next week, he'll be a really good captaincy option for that. Saturday, we have got Grealish, obviously, with that fantastic haul earlier, 16-point haul. We've got Bruno, and we do have James Rodriguez, who, I know they've got a tough game next weekend. It's not the easiest game, is it, next weekend? Man United. So even if he does miss that one, he will likely be back after the international break, and then they go into a run of 3 really nice games on the bounce. I'd probably be tempted to hold, but again, we'll put it on the polls. We've then got Kane, captain today, got 14 points. We've got Salah 18 points. We do have Mopai, who obviously at the moment is probably likely to be our captain on Friday, so we'll have to wait for that dropped today. But we got 72 points. We were ranked about 16k yesterday, so 72 points, probably around average, I would guess. Obviously with Grealish and the Kane captaincy, not bad. We've only used 1 transfer, so we're not doing that badly, actually, I think. So we're going to have plenty of opportunities with this team. And Martin Beasley has just confirmed, so Everton have Fulham after the break, so I think Everton have got 2 or 3 decent games before it goes quite hard again. But Calvert-Lewin could be a really good option after that break, obviously depending on how the fixtures fall as well for captaincy. But Everton versus Fulham, Richarlison will be back for that game. Absolutely, I think he's back for that game. I think he is, but he'll be absolutely full of beans for that, I would guess, if he did. So Calvert-Lewin could be a really good shout for that one. So I will put out a lot of polls again. Thank you for everyone. I did actually mess up this week because I was talking about getting Ings in for Friday, completely forgetting that we had Mopai already in the team. But we will see how that goes. But I'll put a load of polls on Twitter. To participate in the management of this team, just follow at FFH_Sky. I put a load of polls out every week for transfer options, captain options, and whatever the polls say we go with this team. So pretty decent start, 16k, 1 transfer used. Thank you so much, everyone, for that. Okay, just a couple of updates on mini leagues then. So the Hub £500 mini league, in 10th place we've got Michelle Burnett on 628 points with Rocket Rascals. This is after last night. This isn't updated from this evening. In 9th place we've got Chris Downer on 629. We've got Ryan West, moves at 25 places. He had a hell of a day yesterday on 630 points. 7th place Peter Brown. 6th place Colin Richards. 5th place Mark Nicholson. 4th place John McEwen, down from top. So he was top for a couple of weeks, I think. John was. 3rd is Sean Robertson. 2nd is Christopher Forbes. And back up Katie O'Neill on 669. So she was leading at the start, I think, pre-overhaul. So she took a bit of a dip, but she's back on top. So very well played there, Katie O'Neill. Just to answer Ian Parent, how much cash in the bank? I'll have to check, Ian, but I think it's 1.1 million. So any options there for the podcast team would be gratefully received. And finally, an update on the Four Nations League. Again, this isn't updated after today, but in 8th place is the podcast team at the moment on 533. In 7th place, reigning champion 2, representing Ireland, Liam Dorrian. 6th place, Paul McAnulty on 555. 5th place, then Liam Dorrian, 568. 4th place, Dan Cox, his phenomenal second team on 585. They're both called the same now, Dan. You awkward swine. You did. Look at him laughing. You've changed them from Fantasy Football Hub. Phenomenal. That's because I can't say it as well. I just realised. That's how.
There's a problem. I'll let Paul explain if you want, but he's made me look a bit of an numpty.
No, go on.
Well, I didn't realise that you had to do it like at the start of a game week now, because the two of us had agreed that we were going to change all the team names to Phenomenal. It was after I was on the FPL hub, on the FPL podcast.
It was. I couldn't say it. I really struggled to say Phenomenal. I think once you say it wrong once, it's impossible then to get it right. If you say it right the first time, it's fine. Phenomenal. I'm fine this time. But thanks for that, Dan. So Phenomenal in 4th. 3rd place is Paul McAnulty, representing Scotland, household-wise, 591. Dan Cox had a really good day yesterday, so I think Zuma came through for you yesterday, Dan, with 17 points, I want to say, maybe, was it? Including
Man of the match goal. He didn't get passing bonus, I was fuming.
Oh, he didn't. So your second phenomenal team on 598, and just creeping ahead just on top is myself, representing the Welsh in lockdown. The Welsh in lockdown for another 9 or 10 days, but 603 had a decentish day today as well, with Gabriel and Grealish and Kane captain. So unless you guys have done some sneaky move I'm not sure about, I may still be top for next week.
It's close. 12 points between us three. 12 points.
It is.
That is. And I said last week, we're all doing. I'm really pleased with how we're doing. Like, we're all. I think my team was about 2,000, and there's not a lot in it and stuff. And with looking at the transfers, the top 100 and top 1,000 used, that'll, a few more weeks, months, we'll be in the right place. Like, so really pleased how we're doing. And
and just to say, so Paul's ideal kind of wild card overhaul team there, I think all three of us have probably got. I mean, I don't know your great teams off by heart, but we've all got 7 or 8 of those, I think, and we've got these core kind of players in place, or a plan to bring them in. So I think we're in a decent spot at the moment. But who knows? We say that, guys. Let's not get smug. We all know a couple of injuries, or a couple of players' forms missing, or a couple of differential captains for others kind of smashing it. Like if Son had scored a hat-trick tonight, for example, it would be all changing things. So at the moment it seems to be going well. Just a result on the questionable bet. We haven't prepared one, Dan. We're going to have to do one this week on Twitter, but just the result. So Dan only just won last week. So he gave me Mopai +3 against his Kane last week. And just the fact that Kane had man of the match actually led him to pipping me. So I now owe Dan 3 pints instead of 0. So we'll have to have a think for this week, Dan. Bear mentioned earlier about something on Fridays about some silly bet. So I'll come up with something.
I'll take Tom Kearney tomorrow, Fulham at home, West Brom, over any other player that you choose.
What, in either game?
So Fulham, West Brom, and Leeds, Leicester. I'll pick Tom Kearney, and you can have any other player. Right.
Okay. I'm gonna have to have a think about this one. We'll put it on Twitter after, but I'm gonna have a good look because I can't go 4 points down. 4 pints down. I'll be skint and you two will be steaming. But we'll have a look at something for tomorrow evening. Finally, on to Dan's rant. Dan, what has upset you this week?
Oh, mate, I've got loads of stuff here. Right, I'll go from quickly. Right, Antonio, why this, like, the top secrecy of it? Do you know what I mean? That was doing my head in. Can you hear me, mate?
Sorry, yeah. Of what?
Of Moyes' secrecy.
Oh, Moyes. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but why this top, it was just that was shrouded in secrecy, wasn't it? It's like, just tell us what's the matter with Antonio. Like, is he going to be fit or what? And then even now, is he going to be back for... There was quotes, you've definitely missed this game, and he's already on a bike, and it's just like, just tell us what's going on. It don't help us. I always say to people, love that everyone tunes in. It's great. Happy to have a chat, and to say, especially nightmare times, innit? Do you know what I mean? At the minute, like, that you're coming out of lockdown. We're going back into it in England.
Unbelievable.
Fuming. So I would say it's good to have a chat and all that. I love having a chat with people and stuff. And I say, like, best time is to contact me is Monday to Friday. It's when you should be thinking about your team. This week, I had so many people message me Saturday morning about what should I do, what should I do. It's like, this ain't the time to ask me, mate. I've got my kids keep banging in about 10 goals for the football team. The other one's at karate. I ain't got time to get to your messages. So message me during the week and we'll have a think what you should be doing rather than message me on Saturday. What should I do? Because, like, I've got too much going on. Manchester United annoy me. Pogba, he's given away 3 penalties since the restart, and like our mate said today, he looks like he's playing in a pair of Doc Martens. Absolute useless. Get him out of the team because he's affecting Bruno.
He gives the ball away so much as well. He'll do one really nice pass, but then he'll do something awful to kind of cancel it out. He's just woeful. And that, what a naive tackle earlier in the box.
I really
it was
just
awful.
Don't like him. And like, they're sort of, is it right that Bruno's sort of been shunted out a bit because Pogba's there? It's just like, just get Pogba out the team and let Bruno get me all points, please. So that's annoyed me. And Arsenal beat United today. It's the first time at Old Trafford since 2006 in it, which is nice. It's good. I compare it to, like, Jennifer Aniston. I'd be happy to go on a date with her now, but I'd rather gone on a date with her 15 years ago. Do you know what I mean? And that game, you know what I mean? I was thinking today, just weren't really... I'm more interested in Spurs Brighton than that. So it's a shame in how far that is gone from what it was back in the early 2000s and that. So I'm annoyed we're going into lockdown. That's annoying. 4 weeks, probably be longer. There's a Primark. Do you have Primark in your countries? Do you know what that is?
I think it's Primark in Wales.
Yeah.
Primark.
It is called something different in Ireland, though. It's called pennies, I think.
We had a half a mile queue outside ours because obviously everything's shutting from Thursday. So half a mile queue was mad. That was packed. I'm also annoyed that we didn't get next week's fixtures until Friday. A week's notice to know if there's another game on a Friday. That's just ridiculous. And something else ridiculous is one of our mates has already got their Christmas tree up. What do you think about that? Do you celebrate Christmas in your countries?
Sometimes, yeah. I personally think it's awful, but
they got the tree up already. I get it because it's like it's been rubbish years. Just get the tree up in there.
But they'll be bored of it in a month's time. They'll get to December and the kids will be, oh, look, I'm sick of this now. Can we just have our old house back? How nice is it? How nice is it? Like at the start of January, you know, when you stick away the tree and the trimmings and your house is back to normal. I
don't like putting it all in the loft. That's a chore. But I do like, right, let's get all this out of the way now. Exactly. Let's get the house back to normal. But it's like pumpkins are in the food bin and they've already got the tree up. It's mad, isn't it?
Indeed.
And that's me, mate.
That is me. That's you. Is that all? Yeah. Baby says, "Hope you have a beer cellar, Andrew. You're in debt, bud. I am in debt, but don't worry. I'll get it back. I'm convinced. I haven't had much luck on my side yet, apart from the one or two stupid bets I made. But you can see a couple of the Irish guys are going pennies. Jonathan Maloney, assuming you're Irish, there, Jonathan, and." Liam says, yes, pennies in Ireland, absolutely. It's called Primark in England. I think it's either pronounced Primark or Primark in Wales. I'm not sure. Is it Primark or Primark, Paul, in Scotland?
Half the people call it one, half the people call it the other.
Oh, yeah, it's the same, I think. Yeah. Okay, just a couple from me. So I love the way Roy Keane rips into Man United. I think it's fairly divisive because I think that some people think he's being harsh and some people think he's right. But being my age, you know, I'm 40 odd now. I remember Roy Keane in his prime, and he keeps talking about, you know, rolling your sleeves up, getting stuck in, doing it for the team, and I am just absolutely all over that. I know he's blunt. I know that people don't like him, but I do think he's absolutely right. And who can argue with Roy Keane? I mean, you know, what a captain, what a leader. He is just, you know, if anyone was slacking on your team, he would let you know, wouldn't he? And I think that's what Man United need at the moment. I think, you know, a lot of teams nowadays, they're all mates, they're all buds, they're all this, that, and the other. But when you need to actually knuckle down and get stuck in, so I might put a poll up on that actually, because I think he's absolutely superb. I know a lot of people don't really like him. And the last thing, just wanted to mention to everyone. So obviously, you know, we've got into a routine now for the season in terms of this stream at 9:00 every Friday. We hope you enjoy. If anyone has any ideas of anything else they would like to see, anything different, you know, or any other features, doing things a different way, whatever it is, please let us know, because obviously we want to make sure that the people keep joining us at 9 o'clock and they keep enjoying. So just let us know if there's anything else.
Fergie, there was one other question I saw on Twitter.
Yeah.
That was interesting to discuss. Was about the privacy of teams. Like, is there any benefit of making your team private now? Which I thought was quite an interesting question, because it's not about players or structure, what we usually talk about. And it had me thinking. I don't know that there is now. Perhaps in overhaul time, but maybe not so much now. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are.
What do you think, Dan?
I like having, like, at the start of the season, when I put them out, and then I think the problem is I hope the people who listen to this, that they're just like, they know what they're going to do, and they can listen to us to either sort of think, oh yeah, that's a good idea, or disagree and whatever. I don't want someone to see my team and think, oh yeah, I've got to have that, so I'm going to pick that team, because the team I picked at the start of the season, that was terrible. I had a terrible start because I didn't have Vardy and I didn't have Salah and hat-trick. If you'd have picked the team I did, you'd be thinking like, God, and like someone else could have picked a team with those, but because they've seen mine, they might have gone for that. So that's why I'm trying to sort of now, we'll talk about what we do and I'll do the article and you can sort of work out who I have, but I don't like to put it out there because I want people to do their own thing, and I wouldn't want someone to be like, I was going to pick him, but because you said this, I didn't pick him or whatever. So I'm just trying to make people think and come to their own conclusions and stuff. But yeah, I even when I won it, I quite liked looking at the table each day and thinking, God, well, the guy in third got 12 points today. Trying to work out who he had, that sort of added to it for me. Whereas if you could click on it, you'd be like, oh, well, he's got that. And it might then affect, I think it would affect you, because I don't know, when our little mini league pops up or, comes to the end of the season, I know we're talking about who we have sort of thing, but if I think, oh, Fergie's going to captain Kane on Sunday, oh, well, I better go for Bruno, or I better do something different or whatever. I think you should just play your own game, and that really, I know it's a really long answer.
No, me, I completely agree, and I think that I enjoy Sky and the Telegraph much more than FPL. I think one of the reasons for that is everyone's, every decent or engaged player's team on FPL seemingly always looks better than yours as well. I think it always makes you want the things you haven't got all the time on FPL. Whereas on Sky, because you can't see, a lot of it more is your own decisions, your own thinking. Obviously we have the hub, all the articles and tools are there to help you. Our podcast is there to help. We don't run through our teams one by one and say you should do this, you should do that. We try and give options and thoughts and try and give people an advantage in terms of their thinking rather than actually running through. So I think that's why I prefer Sky. I prefer not seeing teams, because I actively manage my own team and I'm not constantly trying to bring my team up to everyone else's, which is kind of what it is like in FPL. It's tough FPL if you're not doing well, because you look at the majority of teams on Twitter and everywhere else, and you can see in your leagues, oh my God, he's captain that, and you end up actually hoping that other people's captains don't hit rather than hoping your captain does, which is really crap to watch on TV as well. When you're hoping that things don't happen rather than they do, it just takes all the excitement out of it. So, or
you hope that, like, I don't know, if you've got Kane but he's not captain, you kind of hope he don't score, because everyone's got him captain, even though you've got him. It's mad, isn't it? So,
yeah. Message off Todd. My mates think I cheat because I listen to podcasts. That's not cheating, Todd. It's it's taking it seriously and kind of wanting to do well. So hopefully you're having a good season. Hopefully you win your mini leagues. And thanks for all the comments, guys, about the podcast and structure and format. But if anyone does have any ideas at all, please feel free to just give any of us a message at any time. We're not precious about anything. We just want to make it the best watch we absolutely can and give as much Sky advice and and value over as we can. Please, could everyone who are watching now like the podcast, please, if you could. It really, really helps us in terms of the algorithms and rankings, everything else. It really does get us out there. So if everyone could please like now, if you haven't liked, that would be really, really good. And could everyone please retweet the podcast out tomorrow night when we either later tonight or tomorrow morning when we tweet it out. That would be good too. Okay, so Dan, where can people find you?
Twitter, Dan Cox 82. But remember what I said, don't message you about your team on Saturday. Do it during the week. Let's be thinking about it. Don't panic on a Saturday and what should I do? What should I do? That is too late.
Indeed.
And my article on the Hub every Friday. Please sign up to the Hub. Like that, the fixture ticker, the stats on there for Sky, and the Hub is really good. And that you're supporting us. You know, if you enjoy the podcast, and
for 20 quid a season,
20 quid for the whole season,
it's absolutely ridiculous value.
That's not just for that's for all the stats, the fixture ticket, all the articles. There's stuff on there if you like FPL. You're into that, you can read all that stuff. Do you know what I mean? But you know, Fergie's got his Sky one on there. He talks about FPL and other stuff as well. Do you know what I mean? But his Sky team's on there, my article, and you know, for 20 quid is incredible value for the season.
It's awesome.
If you're not, please sign up.
Paul, where can people find you?
At Paul McAnulty ones, MCANULTY.
Okay, and thank you very much, guys, obviously, for all your advice and tips this evening. My Twitter handle is at Fergie222. So this podcast and video will be on the Fantasy Football Hub, Sky and TFF YouTube channel, and also available on all major podcast platforms. If you like what you watched, please click the like button. Please, everyone, please press like. And remember to subscribe in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. If you enjoyed your listen, please rate the podcast and leave some comments. Again, it really does help us if you rate the podcast, if you're listening on, Apple Podcast or wherever else, and if you could leave a comment, again, it really does help us. We really would appreciate it. Our handles on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok are at FFH_HQ, and our podcast Twitter handle is at FFH_Sky. So please follow and feel free to ask any questions. Phil Speck says Dan has set himself up for 500 messages, specifically asking for Rate My Team this coming Saturday. Absolutely. Our website.
Who said that?
Phil Speck. Our website is fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, where you'll find everything you need for fantasy football all under one roof, including player comparison tools, the fixture ticker, Opta stats, top player team reveals, including Dan's. Mine's on there as well. So I reveal my team for Hub members every Thursday and my plans as well. I'm not saying I'm a top player, but it is in there, all the kind of insight. I also do it for TFF, FPL, and Dream Team and Fan Team as well. All of this is available on our new free app, which you will find wherever you find your app, searching for Fantasy Football Hub. Good luck to
we're the only fantasy site with an app, aren't we?
We are the only fantasy site with an app. Thanks for that, Dan. He's got a big smirk on his face there. Good luck to all our watchers and listeners this week. We will be back next Sunday. Looking forward to game week 10. We won't. We will be back next Sunday, going into the international break. So we will reflect on the first 8 weeks of action, and then we'll go into the international break. We will see you then all. Good night all.